of freaking out. I'm like, what in the hell is this up here? So all of a sudden, to the left, this big white light comes through the woods. It was so loud. Well, my name's Greg Yost. I'm 65 years old. I'm from Jeffersonville, Indiana. Well, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, but I live in Jeff now for about the last 30 years. And I did 11 years in the Navy, and I got a son and a daughter. And my son, he goes by the name of Son of Squatch Man. Yeah, I go by Squatch Man. That's what everybody calls me. And how I got into it, well, I didn't know anything about Bigfoot. Yeah, I didn't want to know anything. As far as I knew back then, it was just a myth, a legend, an urban legend. Probably no truth to it. Yeah, I mean, I was in the Boy Scouts. I did a lot of camping with my family growing up. Nobody ever talked about Bigfoot back then. But anyway, that all changed November, right around Thanksgiving of 2002 at a Indiana State Forest called Ferdinand, a place my mom was from, and I was very familiar with it. It was a state forest outside of town, about 5 miles out, kind of connected to the Hoosier National Forest, and it was a very isolated place. And I was laid off from my job. I just broke up with my wife. She took my babies with her. So yeah, I was just out trying to find myself, and I went to this place a lot. My grandfather designed and engineered it back in 1933. It was a very beautiful place to be, and I took my dog out there, and it was about an hour drive from where I live, from Jeffersonville, and we went out there for a nice, relaxing evening. I brought a couple of hot dogs, pack of dogs, couple beers. It was just gonna have a nice November night. It was crystal clear out, very quiet. We got a little fire going. It was a very isolated place across the dam, and there was like 4 or 5 fire pits back there, and a couple of picnic tables, and a little outhouse. And that was all that was back there. And there wasn't nobody in the whole forest, completely empty. It was a very dark night. There wasn't much moonlight or stars that I can remember. And my little fire wasn't putting off much fire or, much light around the campfire. It was pretty small, just enough to cook my hot dogs. And a DuBois County Sheriff pulled up, and we talked for about 15 minutes. And another dog has come up, and he was playing around with my dog Buddy, which was a chow mixed with a golden retriever. He weighed about 120 pounds, 125. He looked like a little grizzly bear. And his other dog, it looked like a hunting type of dog, like a beagle, blue tick hound, that kind of dog. And the sheriff was interested in it and said he got off at 6 in the morning and he was going to come back and get it. And I go, well, I ain't going to be here, but hey, it ain't my dog. Do what you got to do. And he took off, and it was about 15 minutes later. The dogs were sitting there. I gave him some dogs. They were just being dogs hanging around the campfire. And like I said, it was really quiet out there. A nice, clear, crisp, cool November night right before Thanksgiving. Couple days, a matter of fact. And out of that quietness, there was a big lake there, and there was a big hill. And up on this hill, I started hearing big, heavy footsteps coming down, kind of like this. I mean, crashing down through there. It sounded like a Sherman tank coming down that hill. And I'm just sitting there, and I don't know what, I didn't know what to think. I'm just sitting here. It's getting closer. trees breaking, snapping. I mean, there's all kinds of noise. It was incredible, the noise. I never heard nothing like it. Yeah, and it was a nice quiet night until this happened. And there was a big white oak tree right there where the cutaway was for this area I just told you about. This little isolated area tucked back between the lake and this big hill. And he stopped right behind that big white oak tree. And I kind of went into a mild shock. I'm kind of, I've been out in the woods a lot. I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, what in the hell is this up here? And as soon as he stopped, I could hear the breathing, loud guttural breathing, like something like this. Way louder. It just sounded like a big bass speaker, and it was going right through me. Yeah, I was probably 20 feet, sitting at that table away from this tree that he was behind, and I could hear him just, I mean, just crazy breathing. So I'm just sitting here, like I said, I'm just frozen. I really couldn't even do anything. I was locked up, and my dog and his other dog, they went about halfway up to that tree and sat down and were staring up at the tree. Yeah, and I'm still sitting here going, like, my God, what is that, man? What is going? Is this a bad dream? Am I imagining this? I mean, what's happening right now? And I was in the Navy, like I just told you, 11 years, and I carry arms for protection, and I'm very good at arms. And I had a Colt 45 right there in my car, which was only parked a couple feet from me. So I snapped out of my trance, my mild shock, whatever you want to call it. And I grabbed my gun out of my car, and there was a clip already halfway in it. So I slammed it up in there. I cocked it back, and I turned the table on this thing. I knew it had to be some kind of monster or something. It didn't sound like a human. And, like I say, just coming down off that hill out of nowhere, there's nothing up there. I'm out in the forest. There's no houses or farms or anything. And there wasn't no cars there back there. So there wasn't nobody in the area. So I knew it wasn't a human. And by the sound of the breathing, it was way bigger than any human. So I started, I changed. It was a game changer. I had a weapon in my hand. I could defend myself now. I felt a lot better. The mode of myself. I was coming out of my shock, getting into warrior mode, and I was gonna take this thing on, whatever it was. So I started yelling at it. What are you? Who are you? What do you want from me? I mean, he came to me. I'm just sitting there minding my own business. I got a right to be out there. The forest closed at 11 o'clock. This was only like 7:30 in the evening. It was pitch black. It gets dark about 5:30 that time of the year here in Indiana. So, I wasn't doing nothing illegal, nothing wrong. Wasn't hurting nobody, harming nobody. And this thing came crashing down on me. So, I started getting pretty irate with it. I wasn't getting any answers. I kept asking it, what are you? Nothing. I told him I had a gun. I told him if he come around that tree to hurt me or my dog, I was going to kill him. I still would have to today talking to you. I would have killed him. He did not come around the tree. I'm screaming at my dog, Buddy. I mean, screaming at him, Buddy, but just over and over. He wouldn't even turn around and look at me. And he was a well-minded dog. He always listened to me, and he would not even turn around. So, I mean, so much stuff's going through my head. What's going on? Well, what is this thing? I got to get my dog. I got to get him fast and I got to get out of here. I feel my life is in an imminent danger. I was armed. I was ready for battle. I didn't want to have battle. I'm looking for peace and quiet. That was the last thing on my mind that night. So anyway, I come to the conclusion I had to get my dog. I had to get him in back in my car and I had to get out of there. So I started approaching because screaming at him wasn't working. I had to get up there and get him. So I was taking half steps the whole time. My pistol's pointed right up at that tree where I would think his head and chest area would be if he come back around it. And I was going to start blasting. I got a right to defend myself. And I kept telling him that, hey, you come around that tree, I'm shooting you. I'm going to kill you. No ifs, ands, or buts. I go, it's up to you. And I let him know I'm in business. And I kept getting closer and closer. And the breathing was getting louder and louder. And I mean, just so much was going through my mind. And I was like, man, I'm going to die up here tonight. That's what I felt like. So anyway, I get to my dog, and I'm right-handed. That's my gun hand. And I'm not very good left-handed. So I grab his 120-pound dog with my left hand, and I'm holding up my right arm at the tree, ready to pull the trigger. It's ready to go. And I slowly start backing up. And Buddy, just like a big bag of potatoes, it was very hard to carry. I had to crouch over some, get him between like in my lap, and I backed to my car 20 feet away. I got him in the car. It was a two-door Pontiac Grand Prix. I slammed the door. I got in, started it up, put it in reverse, and I went back to the dam where the rock road went across the dam back to the other road. They went through the whole forest there. So I'm a smoker. I'm sitting there in my car shaking like a leaf on a tree. I needed a cigarette so bad. And I just realized I left all my stuff up there on the picnic table. So I'm like, oh, Lordy. So here we go again. And I'm out in the middle of nowhere. And I was a nervous wreck. And I wanted to get my stuff. So I really wasn't worried about this thing. I went back. And then I realized and dawned on me, that other dog was still there. So I hit my bright lights. I was only, 40 to 50 feet away. So I crept back up to their area with my brights on, and the dog was still sitting there looking up in the tree. So I looked up in the tree. First time I had good lights on it, and there was a big black arm, a left arm, hanging around the tree from his elbow up to his fingers. And I seen long black hair hanging down off of it. And I got really big hands, and his hands made my hands look little. His fingers looked like cigars, and they were really, really big. And so I'm looking at this arm. I'm like, holy crap, what is this? I go, this is a freaking monster up here. And I look down, there's that dog. So I get up to the picnic table and I have my pistol out again. I go, look, I'm just getting my stuff. I said, I'm not going to harm you. So I don't know what you are, man. I go, but you'll never see me again. Never will you see me again. So I threw the stuff in my car. So just for a split second, I'm thinking, should I get that dog? And immediately I said no. I go, your luck's run out, mister. I go, you got your dog. You don't know that dog. Even though you love animals, you would probably love to save it. But come on, let's be realistic. He might come out the next time when I go up. So yeah, I jumped back in my car and I took off. And all the way home, even haunts me to this day. I call it my awakening. Um, it was a very bad experience. But now that I look back and what I know now, it was a very good experience. And I think it was my test by what I call now the force people, if I was worthy to be a knower and a part of their thing they got going. And that's how they pick and choose people. I think they wanted to see what kind of man I was that night. And I believe I passed their test. I stood up to this guy. I didn't back down. And ever since that night, like I just said, it was my awakening. I have been awoken into these things, and they are out there, and I have a very good relationship with them now. It's been over, since 2002. It's been 22, 23 years now, and it keeps getting better and better.
Well,
But
that's an
that's the
amazing experience. I can imagine how extremely stressful that was, not knowing what you were dealing with, and you're out in kind of Timbuktu, and you just had to use the skills that you had. That's just a really a fascinating story. So, but since then, um, you've had further encounters. Is that right?
yes, ma'am. Up until as of today, over the 23 years or so, I have had a lot more encounters. I have been a lot closer, um, actually, where I could see them in the daytime. I've probably seen 50 or better. I have seen 12 together at one time. Um, I have gone to the point with my relationship with them that I ask them to do stuff and they will usually do it. They understand me. They know who I am. I have been called out by my name before. It's incredible. Yeah, that's why I call them the force people. A lot of people think they're a flesh and blood, ape kind of animal, that's been undiscovered by man, which I have a hard time swallowing because anything that big, it can only hide for such a long time. I mean, these things have been out there hundreds and hundreds of years. And other than Patterson Gimlin film, there's a couple other films, couple pictures. I got a couple good pictures. But through my journey, I call it the journey to the truth. And as weird and as unbelievable some of my journey has been, I've got to tell it. I've got to tell my story. Yeah, I can't jump on with mainstream people, like the TV shows and this and that, using different methods, banging on trees, call blast. I don't do none of that stuff. What I do, it all comes from the heart. These people are very loving people out here in the forest. And I talk to them just like I talk to you. And and that's why I get to see so many of them. I have seen children. I have seen women. I have seen a 12-footer that looked like King Kong, 4 feet in front of me and my son, um, is standing right there staring at us as we're laying in this teepee that we made, something similar to what they would make. Um, I can really relate to the way they live. They're simple people. They live in the forest. That's all they have. I'm a simple man. Uh, I'm not. Um, I'm not very good with gadgets. Just like when I try getting on here with you, everything's difficult for me. I'm an old school kind of guy. I don't like modernization. I don't like fast times. I like it slow. I like doing things my way. Simple, basic. That's the kind of guy I am, and they really picked up on that because I'm a lot like them.
Exactly.
And
tell me about this. You caught my attention when you said that you'd seen 12 of them at the same time. Can you tell me about that experience in detail?
Yes, ma'am. With me, my son of Squatch, man, his name's Eugene, and a friend of mine, John Gregory, where we went camping a lot, and yeah, we were like a little team. Or this was back 6, 7 years ago. Run for about 3 years. People come and go in the Bigfoot world. Different groups, different people. Yeah, that's the way it is, though. But back at this time, we were a very solid group of men, and we was having good stuff happening. And one day we were driving around the forest, and there was a big log going up a mountain that was across the road. So I told them, I said, "Hey, we're coming back here tonight. The forest people have pushed this tree over this road. Something big's going to happen up here, and we're going to be up here when it happens." Yeah, they're just like a police detective. You got to go by your hunches when it comes to the big hairy people. They leave you clues, and you got to figure out. They're not going to come out and tell you exactly what it is, but if you're intelligent enough, you can figure them out. So I said something's going to happen, and we're coming back. So we went up there. We were camping there that weekend, and it was March. It was very cold and windy that weekend, but we were there. We do it all the time. Winter, it don't matter. So we go up there, and I had a Jeep, and I turned it around. This is a one-way road going up a mountain all the way down into a lake, and then it turns around there at the lake, and you got to go back. Yeah, and it's a little bitty road, and two cars cannot pass it. So I wanted to turn my Jeep around and back it up to that log in case something went down. We had to get out of there in a hurry. Another car was coming, so I can move it. I mean, all kinds of factors. I just wanted to play it safe. So we park it and we take off up the mountain, and we probably won't walk an hour or so. And nothing was going on. It was getting colder. It was drizzling. There wasn't no stars out, nothing. It was really dark, overcast night. So we turn around, we start walking back. So we get up to the top of the crust where my Jeep is down there, down at where this road kind of levels off up on the mountain. So I look down there, and there's a bunch of yellow lights down there, and they're all two and two, two and two, like sets of eyes. And I'm talking a whole bunch. I started counting. Yeah, I counted 12, and in a short, a matter of seconds. So I turned to my son and John Gregory, and I go, "Hey, look, it looks like a village down there." And when I said that, all them eyes turned up towards the hill. We were about 150 feet from them. All the eyes turned up and looked at us. And there you could really see the good amount of them down there. And I didn't know that was my Jeep down there. They were all circled around my Jeep, and their eyes were amber yellow, and they were so bright you could see my red metallic paint. It was shining, and my windows were shining. So immediately I looked back at the guys and I said, "Hey," I said, "them are biggies down there." And we're all like, "Yeah, yeah." Real excited. We kept walking, getting closer. They're still down there. They're going around my Jeep. There was real tall ones, little ones. I mean, a whole assortment of sizes. I mean, really, really tall ones, and really, really short ones like babies. And you really get a good count on them. Yeah, they all had two eyes. They all were the same color, amber yellow, kind of like the old yellow Christmas lights. that my parents used to have in our windows. A nice amber radiant glow. I mean, it was so awesome. So we're getting closer and closer, and we're like 50 feet from them, and you can almost make out the shapes of them. Yeah, they're bobbing around. Every now and then they're looking at us, but no fear. They knew it was like, oh, it's just him. Don't worry about him. That's Squatch Man. He's her buddy, and they show no alarm whatsoever. So all of a sudden, to the left, this big white light comes through the woods. I mean, we're over a 400-foot ravine. We're up on a mountain, remember, and there's big lights coming across the ravine, coming right through trees, no shadows coming off. It ain't hitting the trees. It's like it's gliding right through them. And it looked like a train locomotive light, the brightest, purest white light I've ever seen in my life. And it was huge. And first somebody said, I think John said, is that a car coming? And I'm like, nah, it's over to the left. And at first we thought it was a car, but it wasn't. And so it's going through the woods, gliding real slow, real bright, real just pure light. And all of a sudden it gets next to all the people here, the forest people that were all around my Jeep. And it kind of stops. And it's about a couple 100 feet from them out in that ravine. And then it drops and it drops. And it's like it goes through the bottom and then it goes off completely dark. That all the forest people took off running down this ravine. I mean, every one of them. You could hear them crashing down through the woods there. So about that time, we're right there on my Jeep. I mean, we could hear them running. They were only steps ahead of us. And then John points over in the side of the woods there, and you can hear him. I said, "Yeah." I go, "That's one right over there walking 5 feet from us." So, so Eugene's like, Dad, look, man, there's handprints and greasy fingers all over your Jeep." Yeah, so I mean, just big, huge handprint. Yeah, they were checking out my Jeep, surrounding, just checking it out. Looking at the shininess, the glass, the chrome, and then this big light comes, and they all run to it. So, I mean, what a spectacular night that was, and that's got to go down as one of the best.
Were you
Seeing that
able to
many
see what
together.
were you able to see what happened once they ran to the light? Was that in your visual sight to see what happened from that point with them in the light?
No, ma'am, because they probably went down 300 feet in a matter of seconds to this light. Yeah, they ran to the light, and the light was off, and their eyes were in front of them, so we couldn't see their eyes no more. So it was basically pitch black down there, and everybody wanted to go after that anyway. I think it freaked them out. It really didn't freak me out too much. It was something I felt like I was ready to see. I mean,
Had you seen a light before or since like that around them?
yes, I have, but I haven't seen them. But I have seen that similar light 4 different times, and that's why I have named the top of that mountain UFO Mountain. There's a lot of weird stuff going on up there, and I have had witnesses with me every time we have seen this. Sometimes it would try to manipulate and look like a car, but they do a bad job at that. I mean, like they'll have lights all the way across it to look like headlights with red lights in the back, but they're like on fins that go really, really high. And I mean, we've seen a good look at some of their crafts, and these are, yeah, I ain't gonna say they're flying saucers, but they are unidentified flying objects. They fly into the woods. Do they pick them up? Do they drop them off? I don't know what they're doing, but they are definitely related because I've seen them run to them. So something that's hand in hand. So that's another big mystery to them. And another
Well,
reason that I know that they're not some flesh and blood ape. There's
I
a
can
lot more to
understand.
them.
Yeah, your experiences would definitely lead you to believe that. You know, I've heard of a lot of orbs around in areas where people are doing research on Bigfoot or have had a Bigfoot encounter. I don't think I've heard as much as you have with the craft, the orbs, the white light, and then Bigfoot running to them. Like you said, that you know, it was only the one time that you saw Bigfoot running to the light, and the rest of the time, these lights and craft have been separated from any encounter you had with Bigfoot. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Just that one with the multiple Bigfoots. I'm not saying there wasn't any around on the other ones. I just didn't see any. But I did
Did
see
you
the crafts.
did you get a sense that that light showed up to draw them away from you, or did you think that it had nothing to do with you?
No, actually, I put it together pretty quick. I think they put that, they pushed that tree over the road because they didn't want nobody up there. And I think it was a planned rendezvous that they were right up there at the exact point where this thing came up at. And I think it was a planned rendezvous with the flying object and the forest people. There's a large group of them up there waiting for this. Um, a lot of people have told me, this was, I mean, I've seen the orbs that you talk about. Yeah, they're biggest I've seen are the size of like basketballs. And they do turn into orbs. They're energy beings. They're all about energy, and they will turn into orbs, and they can turn invisible. They can come right next to you, and yeah, I mean they can stand right next to you, and you won't even know it. Sometimes we smell them standing right next to us. They're energy beings, and I firmly stand on that. And I hate arguing with people, but I know that I'm right. I've seen them walking right in front of my eyes, completely disappear. No, they didn't hide under a bush, hide behind a tree. They were right in front of me, and boom, vanished. Uh, how they do they walk in other dimensions? Are they interdimensional beings? Can they have the ability? Some people call it cloaking to go from materialized flesh and blood into nothing but energy with a snap of the thumb. I wish I could answer these questions. I just know they can do it. And and who's to say that they're not from another planet? A lot of people think they are. Had they come to another planet that's been destroyed, either through intergalactic warfare or just planetary warfare. I mean, there's a big world out there. The universe is huge, and our galaxy isn't the only galaxy in the universe. I mean, God created everything. Yeah, I believe God created these forest people. They're godly people. I got them on tape saying Yahweh, Yahweh. Another word a lot of people call God by Yahweh. It's pronounced a few different ways. But the Cherokee Indians, they prayed to the Yahweh. The Jewish people, they prayed Yahweh. Um, so it's no coincidence that these are godly people with a lot more intelligence than us humans, a lot more abilities that they can do. Um, so are they communicating with other people that are coming in from their planet? Or are they dropping people off, picking people? I don't know the big picture. I just know there's some kind of big circle that relates them with these UFOs I'm seeing. There's no other explanation for it.
Exactly. Let's go back to a point where you said that they communicate with you. Is it mind speak or you just hear them talking out loud?
Um, well, they have called out my name on numerous occasions, and they say it very good. And it's usually like, "Great." I was at a group camp out, went to bed, very, very active night. And I'm laying in my tent, sleeping alone, not asleep yet. And I'm laying there in my tent's right there on the wood line up there at the campground. So I'm just about to sleep and I hear that. Great. So I kind of, so, nah, this is the first time this has happened. So I'm like, no way. I go, that sounded like somebody called my name out and it was loud. So I'm like, are you hearing things? Were you dreaming? So I'm up on my elbows. Yeah, I was kind of freaked out. Yeah, I knew it wasn't no other campers. Yeah, I had people next to me on both sides, but they were like 5, 10 feet away, and it didn't sound like a human voice. So I'm going, oh, I go, I'll just brush it off, man. He's probably just imagining. So I'm like, holy cow. I go, I'm not imagining that. So
Exactly.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
well, what should I do? Is he calling me out there? Should I walk out there? Should I answer him? What do you want? I just freaked out. I just clammed up. It's just like up in Ferdinand. I didn't know what to do. So I just sat there on my elbows, just thinking, there's a Bigfoot inches away from you on the other side of my canvas tent. So it was pretty wild. So the next morning we wake up and we're out there cooking breakfast. And this guy from Ohio, Bob, and his friend were in a tent next to mine. And Bob goes, yeah, I almost come out last night. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I sound like you was having a problem over there. And so I start picking his brain. I go, what do you mean? Well, what kind of problem? He goes, I don't know. It sounded like he said, get out a couple times. And I go, you heard that? He goes, hell yeah. He goes, that was loud. He goes, that was you, wasn't it? And I go, no, Bob, it wasn't me. I go, did it sound more like this? Grrr. He goes, yeah, that was it. I said, Bob, that was a biggie right behind my tent calling my name. So, into that one. So there's been a few times where I go back to, I got a gifting stunt where I gift them usually food items and we're coming out of the woods. Greg. So I'm just looking around and this time I did speak. I'm like, greeting, my friends from the forest. Thank you for acknowledging me. Could you tell me your name? And I didn't get no response. I have been out on hikes before. Um, out all by myself, sometimes with people, and then up on the ridge, ring, almost like they scream it. So that's with the vocals. Then on my gifting stump, sometimes they would leave me messages. Like my best one I've ever got. I got 15 black stones that were in a circle, polished black stones. We couldn't find them nowhere, anywhere around the creek, anywhere that would match up to these stones. I still don't know where they got them from. but they were aligned around this tree stump. There was a big geonoid rock in the middle of the stump with a black stone that looked like an egg on top of it. And they had a Y stick, which I have gotten a lot because my last name's Yost. I believe that is, they're calling me out. Hey, Yost. And I have had them right outside my tent, stuck in the ground. Y sticks. So here's a Y stick with a perfectly egg-shaped black rock like the other ones that were flat, sitting on a geonoid, which that's you crack open, they look like diamonds. Very beautiful rock, very special. And so, what does this mean? Um, I immediately said, "Well, that's me in the middle." They got me up on the geonoid, right next to that Y, and they're all sitting around me. And two big ones are kind of like up at the front, and the other ones are spread out around the two big ones. So you tell me, that was a pretty epic gift they left me.
Yes, yeah. If most of your contact with them on this one particular mountain, and is that the same area where you had the first encounter at the lake?
Yes, ma'am. The Ferdinand, that's about 70 miles away from where all these other ones have happened. But 95% of my things all happen in the same forest. The lights, that's for UFO Mountain. There's a campground there. We don't go camping up at the mountain. We can't. They got a campsite there. They come around the campsite. That's where my gifting stump is at. That's where I take my hikes at, where I go find evidence of them, footprints. But the thing about these, I can go almost anywhere and find evidence of them. It's not like they're just here. I would like to inform people that the forest people are everywhere. They're all around us. I have seen them in a 5-acre plot of wood.
Do you happen to know if other people have had encounters in that same vicinity?
Oh, yes, all the time. I have got two Department of Natural Resource policemen who got me on speed dial. They get a lot of calls about screams from the forest, big hairy creatures people can't explain. And these people can't, they can't disclose that they know anything about Bigfoot. A lot of them don't. They argue with me a lot till I show them pictures of them. And now that they highly respect me and they know I know what I'm talking about, and I know that they're out there, and they will contact me when they get reports. But I have talked to people out there that had sightings. A lot of the friends I bring up there have had their own personal sightings. I'm talking 50, 60 people that have seen them that have come with me, on top of what I see. So it's a very, it's a very squatchy area. And I
Well,
can go
it
to,
sounds like it is, yes. It sounds like there's a lot of activity in that neck of the woods.
yes, ma'am. And I can go up there any given day and get it. It's not one particular day is better than the other. Fall, winter, spring, it doesn't matter. That's where they live. They're going to be there.
Have any other encounters that you could talk about?
I got some good encounters. Well, what I wanted to tell you, this is probably my best one. Um, well, I was doing a show with this paranormal group, man and his wife, Ernie and Denise, a pack of Pac-Man Paranormal, and I just met them. It was Memorial Day weekend of 2020, back during the COVID crisis, and we were going to do this show for this lady. down in Kentucky at a place called Gates of Hell, and there's a lot of people down there, and what we were going to try to do was see how somebody like me could use my techniques and everything with their paranormal equipment and everything, and see if it worked on the Bigfoots. See if there's any crossways or did the paths cross. It's all about learning, and I agreed to do it. And so anyway, there's a lot of people there, and we couldn't do anything, and because there's a lot of Bigfoots reported out here at this graveyard, out in the middle of nowhere, a lot of Bigfoot action, along with a lot of spirits, that I'm not really into, but I did it for the Bigfoot part of it. So, so the lady was all bummed out doing the show. So she goes, "Well, is there any other place you could go to?" So I go, "Well, we can go up to my forest." I go, "There ain't nobody going to be there." So we went up there and we pulled off deep in the forest, a little turn off area, every forest has, enough for one or two cars, a little grill pit, and a picnic table, for a little picnic people can have out there in the middle of the forest. So we pull out there, and a thunderstorm just went through, and every now and then, as if it's going from west to east, you can see lightning would light up the sky, and it would get pretty light out. So we started the show and everything, and and we took a break. It was like a 2 hour show, and we did 1 hour, and then took a 20-minute break. So and then went back live after that. So while we were dead, I'm talking to Ernie and Denise, and they're like, "Well, how do you usually go about Bigfooting? How do you do it?" And I go, "Well, I talk to him. I go, I'm at a point with my research that they're very smart people, and they communicate with me, and they know what I'm telling them. And a lot of times I'll ask them to do stuff, like light their eyes up, a tree knock, a vocal, a scream, yell, so, anything they want to do. Yeah, I leave it up to them. I just ask them because I got a lot of people that come with me that want to see something, and 9 out of 10 times they will do something. So on this particular night, I was going to go to Washington in about a week and a half and open a Bigfoot bed and breakfast up in Tonasket, Washington, 30 miles from Canada, at my father-in-law's ranch up there. And it all fell through. The fires come through. Long story short, we didn't work out. We come back to Indiana. But on this Memorial Day night with the packs, I go, "I'll tell you, I'll show you how I do it." I raise my arms up, high as I can reach them, up in the sky. Open my palms up, let them know I don't have equipment. They hate equipment. Make sure they know I don't have a gun. Just me, my heart, and my good intentions. So I pleaded with them. I said, "Hey, this is a really heartfelt moment." I go, "I'll be leaving here. I may not ever come back." I go, "I had a great run out here with y'all. 20 years of hanging with you people. It's like I'm leaving family." I go, "I'm really sad, and I hope y'all can forgive me, but I got to move on." And I go, "But could you really do something big for me? I mean, could you really rock and roll this force tonight? I mean, give me something loud. Give me something I would think about every day." I go, I will never forget you people. I love you people." And it was really a heartfelt request. I even said I would pray to Yahweh for it. And it wasn't 30 seconds later, after my request, 7 trees got pushed over. I mean, everywhere. It sounded like a war zone going off. I mean, it was so loud. and we're standing out in front of Ernie's van right there on the road, listening to this. I mean, it was crazy. It was just unbelievable. And I'm talking foot and a half, 2 foot wide Indiana oak trees getting snapped over like twigs. So 7 of them, and then we're just all just standing there. And I tell Arnie, I go, man, I can't believe this. I can't believe this is happening. He goes, Greg, he goes, you asked for it, brother. You just asked for this. Look what they gave you. He goes, man, they really love you. So then Denise goes up the road. She goes, hey, here's one up here. And there was a big Indiana oak coming across the road up in another Indiana oak across the road, stuck up in a branch about 30 feet high. And they pushed it, the root ball out. Yeah, so much power, it's like a bulldozer. Yeah, the whole root ball was out. And the tree was leaning over, in a slant going up in this tree, and it didn't come down all the way. So we walk up to the van, and we're all like, man, this is unbelievable. So all of a sudden, that tree I just told you about that's leaning into this other one, you can start seeing it going, I mean, just violently shaking. All the water that was on is coming off, and the tree's just, only tree over there. And Arnie goes, look, man, look at that big blob up there. And you can see a big black blob, out of the darkness. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't totally dark. And we were standing there on the road. You had a nice opening there. It wasn't all forest. And this tree was right next to the road. So, we could really see what was going on. And this tree is just going crazy. Then all of a sudden, and there it went. And you see this big black blob jump down, and you hear a thump, and you hear him run off. So Arnie and them was like, well, what should we do? I go, well, thank them, man. Everybody applause. So that's what I like doing. I like showing them respect and gratification for what they just did. And we're clapping, hollering. Man, that was the best ever. I mean, we really gave them accolades. So when we walk up to the tree and 20, 30 feet up, it had a big rip in it where the top of that tree fell down, and the one that was leaning over was now on the ground. So he came back to finish the job. So that was a total of 9 trees total. So we're looking at it and everything, just freaking out. And they're like, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. So we walk back in front of the van over by, the area with the fire pit. And I'm looking off into the woods, just thinking, I'm like, this is just unbelievable. This has got to be the best ever. Nobody has ever seen nothing like this. So all of a sudden, that lightning I was just telling you about that lit up the whole area for just a matter of a second or two, there it was. And I see 5 of them standing there between 2 trees. The trees are about 30 feet apart, and there wasn't nothing in the middle of them. But when the lightning went off, there was 5 biggies, and they were very, very big boys. And like I said, I only seen them for a split second, but I did see how big they were, and I got a good visual. I mean, I can see them very good right now in my mind. And they were 5 of them, and they were all, 8, 9 footers, very, very muscular. So I wasn't going to say nothing to Ernie and Denise. They also had their daughter there from Tennessee. She came in from college. And so I'm not going to say nothing. I go, I told you I see a bunch of them. There's 5 more. So I'm like, people think, I see them behind every bush. I can't help it. My relationship I got with them. Apparently, I'm doing something right that I see them. So for a second later, Denise goes, OMG, you're not gonna believe what I just seen over there. So I'm like, what? What'd you see? She goes, I seen the 5 biggest Bigfoot you would ever could imagine right over there. So I slapped her. She goes, what? I go, I seen them too. I go, I just didn't want to say nothing because a lot of times I go, look, and people's like, well, I don't see nothing. So I try to want people to see them themselves. Instead of me always seeing them. That way they can, they can get their glimpse. Because usually, if I tell people, by the time they find it or whatever, they're gone. So it's better for other people to see them too. So she's seen 5 of them. I've seen 5 of them. And Arnie, he's also seen them too. But he was still in shock of, wow. So not only did we have all them trees get pushed over, they showed us who did it. And if that ain't one of the best nights ever, I have never heard of anything like it from anybody. And yeah, I'm going to be speaking at the Indiana Bigfoot Conference in Nashville, Indiana in September. And this is going to be one of my stories.
Well,
This is
I
going
can
to
understand why. It's a fascinating story. You're one of the more interesting people that I've interviewed, that's for sure. I'm going to have to end our interview today, Greg. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'll let you know when this comes out, okay?
Hey, thank you, Linda, and thanks for having me on. I had a good time.